Sure.
What's up, everybody? It's Actively Lazy with Joe. Can 6 wins make the playoffs? Matz.
I
Man.
clarified in the NFC, but then it told me my name was too long. So
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I don't like it. You know, there's too much. There's too much winning in New York right now, and in other sports, and that's why the Knicks and the Yankees have now become the Jets and the Giants. This is what New York City gets, man.
you can't have it all unless you're Boston, apparently.
No, they've upset the balance. I put it in the group. I don't. I mean, I don't. I'm not tag people when I'm doing it, but I'll try real quick to so maybe we can get people to look and comment. But um, just give me a second. We got one person. I don't know who that is. Hey, whoever you are, if you're in the group, could you tag people? Oh, yep, they're in IB Sports. So yeah, could you tag people? Because it's hard for me to do that and host. All right, Thursday night recap real quick. Cardinals 42, Saints 34. Kind of a funny game.
Yeah.
Probably the meme of the year with Andy Dalton coming back like the problem child that he is. That's a redhead reference. If you don't get it, just Google it. Anyway, Andy Dalton was back and in rare form. What's the difference between Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston besides skin color?
I mean, when you see a stat line that's 360 yards with 4 touchdowns and 3 picks, you would generally assume that is a Jameis Winston stat line. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there is a difference. This team is not great with either one, but they're also only a game out of first place because the NFC South is complete trash. So,
just do it, Grum. Who cares?
and I like how even in victory, Cliff and Kyler not getting along at all.
Kyle is clearly done with him, and it's perfectly fine. I would be frustrated.
I don't blame him for being done with him. So
The Ravens didn't blow it today. Almost.
they tried.
They did. Yeah, they tried. Ravens 23, Browns 20. Like, is there even like I don't understand. Like, how do they constantly find themselves in this predicament at the end of every game?
I mean, the upside for them is they've been winning every single game they played into the fourth quarter, including the game against Kansas City. So this team is really close to being just one of the best teams in the NFL. But yeah, they find ways to do weird shit at the end. Last week, they get a penalty, then a muffed snap, and an interception, all in 2 plays to lose to the Giants. And this week, Justice Hill tried to lose the game at the end with his fumble. But I mean, the upside to them is they've figured out how to run the ball again outside of Lamar. Gus Edwards looked pretty good today. We'll see if Dobbins comes back again. But, I mean, they won a game and scored 23 points in which Mark Andrews had 0 receptions. So, I guess that's progress. And also, they won. They didn't blow it. So, progress overall. Cleveland, I mean, they hung in there, but they can't keep dropping these close games if they want to be in striking distance when Deshaun comes back.
They don't want to be in striking distance when Deshaun comes back. Trust me. Let's check these numbers real quick. It wasn't that bad of a rushing day for because the Cleveland defense hasn't been playing that well.
No, they've been actually terrible.
Yeah, so it wasn't all that bad. The game of the day, though, the ultimate shocker. I mean, even I'm shocked, and I usually like think that anything can happen generally, but the Carolina Panthers dominated the Buccaneers 21-3. That's right, dominated the Buccaneers. You know, it just goes to show that, you know, having a good pass rush is pretty much a staple of a defense, and it probably puts you in the best chance to win any football game. If you've got a really good pass rush or you got guys up front, literally just your front, if they're good, you're always in the game. And shout out to my boy AAF American Football Alliance or something like whatever. PJ Walker doing this thing. On the podcast, we didn't count them out. We obviously nobody expected them to win, but we didn't expect. We expected competitive game cover wise because it closed at 13.
Yeah,
but an outright win and holding them to 3 points, I would have never saw that.
Like even at halftime, it was 7-0, and I was like, Tampa Bay, like get it together. But I mean, part of that was also you had a huge drop by Evans on what was going to be a touchdown early. But I wasn't overly concerned that they'd win this game still. I was still like, Tampa, whatever, you're down 7. And then all of a sudden they couldn't get stops when they needed to. And I mean, like you said, it helps when you can rush the passer, obviously, especially against a guy like Brady. But also, Tampa Bay is so incompetent running the football that you really can just tee off on trying to get at Brady because you're not worried about what Leonard Fournette's going to do.
I find that to be offensive. But changes need to come. And, it sucks for them. You drop a game to the Steelers, then you drop a game to the Panthers, and then you're on a short week hosting the Ravens. Like a team that honestly plays pretty well in those Thursday night spots, whether they're home or away. They've got to figure it out. And apparently they put them in Germany. Like, when did the NFL decide to do that? Did you see that?
Oh, the German game?
Yeah. Did they just?
Yeah, I did. I did know there was the one German game this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel like I was like, I didn't know anything about that. They just like added that. I was like, do the teams know they're supposed to go to Germany? Like, they said.
Oh yeah, you finish.
I was gonna say they just like announced it during NFL Red Zone, like it just came up, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I forgot which game it was, but I did know there was going to be one. And then shout out to Todd Bowles for just supporting other black coaches the last 2 weeks.
Oh my God!
Just, he's doing it for the culture.
What? It doesn't even sound right when you say that. I'm gonna dock you points for that. Don't ever say that again. What is he doing, man? I hate Todd Bowles, man. This goes back, and this goes back to when he coached the Jets. He would just never take the points, and I've never liked him since.
Well, he did. The funny part was when he did take the points was the fourth quarter down 14. He was like, "Yeah, I guess we'll kick a field goal so we don't get shut out." It's like
awful.
This doesn't help you.
But yeah, the Bucks are soul searching. They're not the only ones. We'll get to the
they are not
later. Bengals 35, Falcons 17. The clock struck midnight. Welcome to reality, Atlanta. But it was a good effort, and the Bucks have kind of figured it. I mean, the Bengals have kind of figured it out a little bit. It's like they're like, damn, we do have Boyd and Higgins on the field. But I think I heard Jamar Chase might have been limping or got hurt.
I'm not even sure if he played in the second half because I knew at the end of the first half he got hurt, and then I was just watching Red Zone, so I wasn't catching a whole lot of this game.
Yeah,
so I'll have to double check on him. But yeah, this offense is rolling. I mean, last week they looked great against a better defense in New Orleans, and then this week, I mean, Joe Burrow had like 340 yards at halftime.
Yeah, he was absolutely destroying like everybody on that.
And I appreciate that in a game that briefly got close at the end of the first half, but for the most part was not. They still stuck passing. They threw 42 passes plus 3 sacks. So that's 45 dropbacks compared to 18 runs, and I'm taking out Burrow's runs because those shouldn't count. So yeah, finally it's like, hey, we're really good at passing the ball. Let's do that. And, 3 sacks on 45 dropbacks, that's a win for the Cincinnati Bengals team. So, yeah, I think this team is – I mean, again, they've played the Saints and the Falcons the last 2 weeks. It's not the greatest 2 teams to beat, but they seem to be on the right path. And then, yeah, Atlanta – I mean, if you're down 2 scores like the entire game, I'm not sure how you end up only throwing 13 passes, and Pitts and London combined for 4 catches for 18 yards. So,
well, Corey brought up a good point this morning about the Bengals and what they've done for Joe Burrow, going back to a more shotgun formation predominantly, allowing him to see the field a little bit better, making his reads a little bit better. I would also add that they finally figured out that they should maybe space the receivers out a little bit more. And they have multi-talented receivers. Like Chase isn't the only one that can make plays after the catch. He's not the only one that can go down the field. He's not the only one that can catch across the middle. Boy, not the only one that can catch across the middle. They actually took him vertical today, which was great to see because I feel like he's only operated in this imaginary 10 to 15 yard box. And I'm like, the guy is a good receiver. Like, you have weapons. it's good momentum for them. Defense did pretty good against an offense that has been somewhat
Pretty
tricky
good.
in their running game. Even when they lost Patterson, they still found a way to be effective. So I thought for them to not only cover but to be consistent throughout the game. Like they look good today, and I
mean,
think
they shut out the Falcons in 3 of the 4 quarters. Like Atlanta
Yeah.
came alive for 1 quarter, and otherwise the Bengals had this easily.
Game that started really, really slow, but in true fashion of the Lions, it just ended crazy. Dallas 24, Lions 6. Dak had some rust, I guess. I don't
Yes,
know.
definitely.
I had said this morning on the show when Ronnie asked, what would we expect from Dak and this and that. I was like, well, what did he look like before he got hurt? Because I mean, there wasn't really much going on there, and I felt like for the first like half or maybe even for 3/4 of the game, it's kind of what it was again. Like it's just like this offense just doesn't seem to be efficient. And by that I mean they don't finish drives as much as they should. They don't extend drives like they should. They just and then they have these like one dimension series where they'll run the ball really well but can't pass, or pass the ball really well but can't get 2 yards that you need on the run. Like it's still some kinks in a system with weapons, and just everybody should be on the same page at this point. Like this isn't like they're redoing the whole entire offense. Kellen Moore was there last year. They were top 10 offense last year. I mean, Dak and Zeke have been there for what, 5-6 years now. Like,
Yeah.
It needs to get better. CD's been there a couple years. Like everybody else is in the offense that they utilize has been there long enough. It's just one of those things where I feel like the Cowboys need to think bigger picture. Like, yeah, you can beat the Lions. Hell, you might do well in your division too, but like you got to have bigger aspirations. You want to beat elite teams consistent, and you want to beat these bad teams like from the jump. Like you don't want to make these games harder than they need to be. And I just feel like that's just been kind of the McCarthy era. Like games
I mean, and the Garrett era before it.
Yeah, that too. Like
it doesn't really feel different.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it feels different in that Dan Quinn has turned this defense.
Yeah, Dan Quinn deserves all the credit.
But offensively, yeah, it 100% feels like the same the last 10 years. It's like there's occasional weeks where they look awesome. But most weeks, it's more similar to this. And I mean, if you're a Dallas fan, you might point to like, oh, CeeDee Lamb is a freak fumble at like the 5-yard line. Otherwise,
that was
he scored 30. Or was it Brown?
Yeah, he got flipped.
The 2 guys with the locks, it throws me off.
Yeah. Wow, that's the second one today, bro.
But I mean, the reality is the Dallas offense got buoyed by the defense again. They forced 5 turnovers. Like yards per play, both teams 5.6. Total yards gained. Dallas outgained the Lions by 18. These offenses weren't functioning on a play-per-play basis much differently. It's that Jared Goff makes huge mistakes. They also lose 3 fumbles, which is kind of fluky. Whereas Dallas just has the 1 bad turn. I mean, Jamal Williams loses the ball at the 1-yard line down, 3?
Yeah.
Like they take the lead late in the game if he doesn't fumble that ball. So, obviously, hey, Dallas, you got the win. And the reality is there might only be one legitimately good team in the entire NFC outside of Dallas. So I guess, you're fine for now. But to your point, yeah, it doesn't feel that much different. Like it's on offense. And if they want to really be a surefire contender, that step has to come. Maybe it does once Dak's back in form in a couple of weeks, but he definitely was kind of slow on some of the reads today.
Yeah, I just need to see better.
And this is the Lions team that, I mean, as Ronnie's been pointing out the last couple of weeks, has been historically bad on defense through the first month of the season.
Been bad in general.
The fact that you scored 24 points when your defense forced 5 turnovers is not the best sign for your offense.
Yeah. But they got time to work on it.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Because, again, it's outside of the Eagles. What is there in the NFC?
Yeah. There's the New York Football Giants.
Yeah.
23-17. Giants beat the Jags. All right, I'm off on the Jags. I'm sorry. like Corey said, and I didn't want to say it out loud, but it's true. They need another year. The talent's there. They're just young. They don't know how to close out games or win games.
They're 0-5 now in one-score games, and obviously at some point that'll turn around a little bit. But I think part of that is, to your point, it's a young team. They're not quite ready for that step.
I can't name two people that Daniel Jones throws to besides Saquon and Barkley. Like, it's amazing.
Well, Rondale is not bad, but he's coming back off of an injury. I mean, we had a play, we went for it on a 4th down, and the play design was great. Daniel Jones throws a perfect ball, and the guy drops it, and you're like, fuck, like, how do we drop it? It's because the throw was to Marcus Johnson. Who the fuck is Marcus Johnson? Mm-hmm. Literally, I only knew because we activated him off the practice squad, and I saw that in a tweet earlier this week. That's who we were throwing to on a 4th and 2 from the 4-yard line because there just aren't guys anymore. Bellinger, our rookie tight end, his eye got messed up. He missed the second half. We had 2 offensive linemen go down. This is an incredible job by Dayball, by Kafka, and by Daniel Jones and Saquon because they're the ones making it work. Because, yeah, there's this you look at the Packers who are like, oh, we have no receivers, that's why stuff is bad. It's like, that's not why stuff is bad, because the Giants are proving you can still win with nobody at wide receiver. Like, we would kill to have Alan Lazard on our team.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like the Packers would kill to have Scantling back.
Yeah. And the Giants also tried to lose this game at the end. I mean, a little help from refs, but Saquon doesn't go out of bounds, which was the only reason it was. Yeah,
which was a weird play. I don't understand. You're strong enough to just force your way down, bro.
There's just no reason at all also there to cut outside.
That too.
Stay inside. Make sure there's no chance you go out. And then, we had a sack get called back, an interception get called back, and then they had 3 plays from the 15-yard line to try to win the game. And it was stressful. But, that's what these two teams have kind of done all year, where the Jags find ways not to quite pull out the victory, and the Giants, with one exception, keep finding ways to win games.
Tennessee 19, Colts 10. A game that I think a lot of people thought the Colts had a chance to win, but man, did Matt Ryan of old show up. He just does not play well away from his home. And
if it's going to be a road game and you want to have faith in Matt Ryan, it needs to be a dome game. I think that's the clear rule. If he's playing outside, fade Matt Ryan.
Yeah. 19-10, nothing really to report. Titans don't look any better.
Derrick Henry ran the ball well, and they harassed Matt Ryan, and that's kind of the game right there.
Yes, what you would expect.
And Vrabel 5-0 off of bye weeks now, with all of them now this is his smallest victory. So 5-0, all of them by 9 points or more.
Washington Commanders, Green Bay. Washington 23, Commanders 21. Did not see that coming. Although the money was moving heavy on the Commanders, which is very strange. Aaron Rodgers is going through it. Is him and Russell are the 2 highest paid quarterbacks right now, or are they close? Because they are
got to be close.
Yeah, because it's not looking good for these big contracts on these quarterbacks in the last year or two. Just hasn't panned out. I had described Matt LaFleur as immature today. I feel like he is. It doesn't make any sense for a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and a head coach with his kind of ability to not be on the same page. We shouldn't see Aaron Rodgers looking at the sideline like, yo, what the fuck are we doing? Like, you could read his lips saying that. Like, what is going on? They just don't seem to have a clue. And they don't seem to be on the same page, and it's translating on the field. And I know the guys are young that he has with him, but at some point you guys as an organization and as a quarterback, as a coach, have to just be like, well, we decided to go in this direction, so we got to make it work. Like, it's not an excuse 6-7 weeks in, oh, they're young. You had plenty of opportunity to fix this. You had plenty of opportunity to sign Adams or to go get a veteran do other things to prevent this, and you didn't. So to me, when you neglect that glaring need and you just draft people, you're saying that you're fine regardless. So I don't want to hear your excuses. Losing to the Commanders with Heineke, sorry, is pathetic. And this is another team that's on a downward spiral. I think next week's question of the week is going to be who's going to bounce back first, the Bucks or the Packers? Because right now, both are looking right bad.
You know who the Packers play next week, right?
Who?
But they're at the Bills. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's definitely not going to be the Packers, at least not next week. Yeah, again, like if you compare Green Bay to the Giants, it's like, well, I mean, shoot, I guess you could probably argue Daniel Jones is out playing Aaron Rodgers right now. But in general, you would say I'd much rather have Aaron Rodgers. You'd rather have Saquon, but Aaron Jones is really good. And then you'd say, oh, I'd rather have the Packers receivers. I'd rather have the Packers O-line. Like, there's no excuse for this. And also, they didn't score 21 points on offense. You know, they had a pick 6 in this game. They actually had another fumble 6 that got called back on a bad call that kind of shifted the game. But, yeah, the defense scored a third of your points here. So the offense is not working. And at the end, you've got to be able to get a stop against Heineke. Like, I know Terry McLaurin's good, but you've got Jair. Jair's got to do better. Like, you have to get that stop and get the ball back. Again, the upside to all these teams struggling in the NFC is, no one is looking that great outside of the East.
I was saying everybody's struggling.
It's the East and the Vikings, and everyone else is looking rough right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, shoot, Washington is now like in playoff, like literally everyone's in playoff contention because Carolina is a game out of first place now. So there's no one who's out of it in the NFC because the NFC is trash outside of the NFC East. So there you go.
Running off of that disappointment, we are talking about the Denver Broncos again. Jets 16, Broncos 9. Honestly, it was about the same if Russell Wilson played, probably. So
I can't say it looked massively different, right?
Yeah, Breece Hall. I think they say he might. I think it might have been him that might have an ACL injury.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a good chance he is done for the season.
And then, unfortunately, it doesn't sound like Russell Wilson's diagnosis was that great either. It's a tear in the hamstring, apparently. So he might be out for a little bit of time too. And honestly, he should probably take his time coming back, honestly. And then there's also news that the Broncos are sellers. Like, I just feel like if I'm the Walton family or the Walton that purchased this team, I am a little disappointed. Like, there's so much hype. There's so much hype about the Broncos coming into this season, and we should have known through the symbolism of the stadium catching on fire that it wasn't going to be a good year.
I mean, the wild thing too is Evero's got this defense arguably playing better than they did.
Yeah, they ball,
which like is an incredible accomplishment. This defense is playing awesome, and I mean, sure, Zach Wilson continues to not really look like the answer. He kind of feels like the thing that's holding the Jets back. Mm-hmm. But every week, this Broncos defense is showing up, and every week the offense is scoring like 13 points. So, yeah, and it's especially frustrating when you trade for a franchise QB and hire an offensive coach. But I mean, credit to Robert Saleh and that group because again, they have 5 wins and they have Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson as their QBs on the season. So the coaching and the rest of the roster, great job. You're carrying this team.
Yeah,
and Sauce playing well. Arguably got with a pass interference late in that game, but hey, they didn't call it, so it's good coverage.
I'm waiting to revisit that argument about Sauce. And our boy Stingley. Stingley's not bad either, though. It's just two different.
Stingley's gotten roasted a few times this year. I'm not saying he's bad. I think in the long run, he's not good, but he's given up like a couple 100-yard games in the year.
Hey, look, I'm glad you said that, and I didn't have to go look that up. Houston 20, Las Vegas 38. I always want to call these dudes Los Angeles. It's such a bad habit. But hey, you beat bad teams like you're supposed to beat them. Everybody got through this game relatively healthy for the Raiders, so that's a win. Cannot say that for the second to last game of the day, the Seahawks versus the Chargers. Not going to beat you up about Staley. You're going to be a Sean Payton fan here soon because he's about to be out. They gonna get rid of him quick. But it looks like DK Metcalf got hurt, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And so did Mike Williams.
I mean, obviously for the Chargers, it just seems to be like you get Keenan Allen back, Mike Williams gets hurt, and that's just kind of how this season's going for them right now. But for Seattle, I mean, yeah, you're feeling good. The defense has actually shown up for 2 straight weeks, and that's what was really holding this team back. Geno continues to play well. Kenneth Walker looks awesome. I mean, again, Chargers, if there's one thing besides injuries you can count the Chargers on, it's bad run D. But, I mean, Kenneth Walker looks as good as I thought he would. This is a guy who breaks tackles as good as anyone in the entire NFL. And then you have potentially your number 1 receiver go down. Because, yeah, Seattle, honestly, again, outside of, the East and the Vikings, they're the team you probably feel the best about right now in the NFC. But that's a big loss if it happens. But good for them to continue to pull out wins. And good for Geno, who looks like he's going to be cashing in big in this offseason.
You don't think that the Niners with Jimmy G don't look like a team that's on the up and up? We just got Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, I would buy San Francisco still as a playoff team long term because I think the defense will continue to get healthier and you will not play Kansas City every week, which helps. But yeah, I mean that the West is hard to guess. I mean, I'm definitely not betting on the Cardinals to come out of there because I think that'll implode at some point. But
Niners.
I mean, what if you guys had Geno? Like, honestly, if you replace Jimmy G with Geno, how much better would you feel right now?
We would be significantly better today, for sure. I've watched Geno play all year, and he's much better than Jimmy.
He's legitimately good.
Yeah, he's respectable, for sure. It ain't a fluke. Kansas City 44, Niners 23. Christian McCaffrey comes to San Francisco and brings his losing juju, whereas the Panthers are released of their sins.
It's the good karma for having any sense about the value of running backs. That's what today was.
Yeah, that it hurt. It hurt. But there's nothing to say about this game. I mean, I will say Jimmy G is the reason we lost. But again, if the defense doesn't hold people to under 28, then we're never going to win games.
And I mean, in truth, that's going to also just be true for most teams. Like, unless you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen.
We could have. It's crazy. Let's not talk about that, okay? We could have had Patrick Mahomes. Well, yeah, I mean, Mahomes. We could have had Aaron Rodgers. We could have had Tom Brady. We could have had our pick of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. Yeah.
So try not to think about it too much.
I mean, it's hard not to think about that when you live through it and you look back on it and you're like, that could have been us.
And then Kelsey 2 yards away from making this a game where 3 different Chiefs players went for over 100 yards receiving. So the Juju MVS, they clearly seem to be on the same page now.
Hartman had a great game.
Yeah, he continues to just be the touchdown machine, honestly.
Yeah, had some issues last year, I think, getting acquainted, but I feel like they're trusting him more and more each week. But this great win for the Chiefs to keep their momentum. My friend thinks that Kyle Shanahan's on the hot seat. I don't even think he is. I don't
think so. not yet. It has to get a lot worse.
Who wants to work with Jimmy G besides Bill Belichick? And I don't think he wants a return on this either. So
he's got Zappy, man. He doesn't need this.
I know. We could have had Zappy too.
I mean, literally everyone could have had Zappy.
I know, and everyone made their mistake. Speaking of, I hope he gets the nod tomorrow and plays, or I hope Mac Jones plays for at least the half, and then they come in and put Zappy in the second half because they're up enough, and we get to do a real live comparison on Monday night, so everybody can see what I've been saying all along. Zappy's better from the jump.
We'll see. We'll see
from the jump. All right, your thoughts on tonight's game, real quick. Dolphins, Steelers. I'll say that I just want my man Tua to get through the game without getting a concussion, and I mean that.
Assuming Tua does not get a concussion, most of me kind of thinks Miami is just going to run them off the field. But at the same time, all of the karma is with Pittsburgh because this is Brian Flores returning to Miami. So that's kind of why this is a stay away from me, because otherwise I think Miami kind of they destroy them. I don't think the Steelers team is very good, but if Flores, the karma, I don't know. And it's also what the owner's suspension ended as well, so I almost feel like that's also negative karma for Miami. So let's just stay away, just watch this game, root for Pittsburgh just to shove it to Miami.
It's the most. Today will be the winningest Sunday for Black coaches because we got a no brainer tonight.
Yeah, you can't lose, right?
Can't lose tonight. I'm still tripping on that. All right, Joe. Thank you for coming through, man. We'll do this again next week. We try to do it anywhere between 7:30, 7:45, and get you guys out of here before the 8:30 game. But this is the new time slot for the recap show. Make sure you check out the gambling podcast. All my teasers hit today, which is very ironic because I usually don't have good teasers. But the teasers hit today. I have super contest feedback for you guys. I did get talked out of a couple things today, and I am a little disappointed to report that I bet the Giants money line, but I took the Jags spread this morning on my super contest because I was just not. I don't know. Either way,
all the public was on the Giants. It scared me too.
I know that's what scared me too. And so I'm 3-1 right now. So I had the Jets early, I had the Seahawks early, and I had the Titans at 2.5 as well. So I'm up 3-1. I got the Patriots for my last play, so I could potentially be 4-1 this week, which still isn't good enough to crack the top 50, apparently. I mean, I'm still shooting over 70%, and I'm still not top 50. This is maddening. But I feel like I've seen some people move down some spots that we're holding steady, so I feel like we're getting there. So be on the lookout for that show. I think it's a good, informative show, kind of gets you thinking. And then Tristan's picks was awful this week. I will talk to him about that tomorrow. But he didn't win much this week, and it's fine. It might be too much for him with school going on and actually learning.
Too many distractions.
Yeah, learning how to count as well as learning how to cap is probably too much right now. So he might be getting his pink slip, unfortunately. But he did earn his Nintendo Switch. So at some point, I'll make sure I do a video for that. But anyway, thank you guys. Good luck to you, Joe. 6-2?
6-1.
6-1. Oh, yeah. 6-1. All right.
Well, we're one game from the preseason over.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week.